Hi, welcome back to the Old Shed Workshop. Today I want to share with you a clock I'm making for my son. If you recall from the previous video where I made the two mantle clocks for my son and my daughter, I mentioned that I got the wood from one son and made the clock for another son. Well, now I'm making a clock for the son who gave me the wood. I'm making this clock, which is a desk clock instead of a mantle clock. I want to show you in this video how I remove the vinyl tape and reveal the letters that my buddy Matt at Bad Bubba Woodcrafts cut into the workpiece for me. If this is your first time here, I'm Mike, and I'll invite you to take a moment to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications for future videos. Let me share with you the process of making this clock. I'm over at Bad Bubba Woodcrafts now. My buddy Matt is about to carve my son's initials into this workpiece. You can see that he has the protective vinyl tape on the workpiece right now. That's so that when he airbrushes the color into the initials, the rest of the workpiece is protected. Here's my workpiece. This piece is going to be the base. This is part of the same piece of walnut that my son gave me. So let's get the vinyl tape off the workpiece and reveal the letters. Remember, this is unfinished and it's going to need some cleanup work. There it is. Now I'm going to go about just cleaning up the letters a little bit. I have to get the rest of the vinyl tape off. And you'll see the letters start to come to life. You have to be patient with this. You don't want to cut into the wood, but you need to get that protective vinyl off the workpiece. There. Now I just have to do a little cleanup work, and I'll be right back with you. Here's a look at how nice the letters came out. I put a couple of coats of Minwax polyacrylic on this before I had Matt cut the letters. And I take a scalpel blade and just in the intricate parts of the letters, the very fine parts, if there's any overspray, you can just very carefully scratch it off with the scalpel blade. Now I'm going to take a little 320. I'm going to go over it very lightly just to take any rough edges off the letters. And then I'll proceed to do another coat or two of finish. Now, after just a very fine touch with 320, you can see how beautiful the letters are. If you see a little bit of fuzz on the edge, like sanding fuzz from the edge of a workpiece, don't worry about that. I took a little bit of dihydrogen monoxide with a cloth. I went over that, and you can see that the letters are beautiful. This video got started while I was in the midst of making the other two clocks, so kind of started this video in the middle. But I took two pieces of cherry and a piece of the walnut that my son gave me. You can see the base is going to be another piece of that walnut. I laminated them. Then I had to determine the curve I wanted to cut at the top. I used my flexible curve to do it. If you don't have a flexible curve, you can use a roll of tape. You can use a paint can. You get the diameter however you need to get it. So now I'm going to apply another coat of finish. I like this Minwax polyacrylic high gloss. With this type of desk clock that I'm making for my son, I have a base and then I have a vertical piece. I wanted to inset the vertical piece into the base. To that end, I tried using a mortising chisel that has the square chisel with the drill, and I have the attachment that goes on the quill of the drill press. And if you can see here, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but you can see the mark that it made as I tried to come down and cut the hole. If you're not familiar with these, you can go along. This is a mortising drill. You go along and you cut and you make a mortise. So I would be able to set the vertical piece into the base. And it didn't work. I couldn't get the mortising drill bit to penetrate the walnut. I even tried a softer wood and I still had no luck with that. The amount of downward pressure you need on that mortising bit is pretty significant. So I tried to figure out what are my alternatives here. You might be able to see that I have the position marked out. It's in white pencil, so you may not be able to see it that well. And I thought about doing a dado. If I did a dado, this material and this material would be cut out. I don't want that. Then I would have to, inset my vertical piece, but now I have a space here and here that I would have had to fill using a piece of cherry or using a piece of walnut and try to get it to look good. And so I abandoned that idea. I have come up with a way of doing this. I guess you might call it a workaround. I'm going to show you what I came up with and give it a try. The first thing I'm going to do is go around the outline of the shape where the vertical piece is going to be with painter's tape. Then I'm going to use double-faced tape and set some scrap pieces so that I can set the vertical piece in place and secure it from the bottom. I'm using the painter's tape first because I've already got 2 coats of finish using that Minwax polyacrylic. So I know I'll be able to get the painter's tape off, and I didn't want to risk using the double-faced tape directly on the piece for fear of damaging it. So I'm guessing you're kind of wondering what's the purpose of all this. Well, I need to secure this, and I need to ensure that I keep the orientation of the piece accurate. What I did was, when I laid out all the front, I laid out the bottom too. All the corresponding measurements. So I know I want to drill here, and I want to drill here. And that's going to get me into the cherry, about midway through the piece of cherry, if you can see that. So now when I clamp this into the vise, this piece will be clamped in the vise, and it can't move. I'll maintain the orientation of the piece. Let's get it in the vise. In order to drill a hole, I'm going to use this bit. This bit gives me the opportunity to countersink the screw and drill a tapered hole into the workpiece for the shape of the screw. Okay, this is the part where I'm dancing with the devil. And once I commit to it, that's it. Is the 2 spots that I need, right in the middle of the cherry. Perfect. Okay, let's see how the idea of using the painter's tape came out. That's beautiful. Painter's tape left no residue on the finish at all. Okay, glue and screws. It's just a little idea I want to share with you. If you're wondering how was I confident about putting my finished workpiece into a vise without marring the front of the piece. I made these years ago. I use them all the time. It's just a simple angle iron, aluminum angle iron, 1/8 inch, and I glued an old belt. That's all this is an old belt. I put these into the vise, and now I have a nice piece of leather coming in contact with the finished piece. Just a little idea, something you might have knocking around in your shop. Make yourself a couple of little jaws to go into your vise. Okay, I have the glue on. This is what's really going to hold it. Screws are just to keep it in place. I have the screws just barely sitting proud, so I can line it up easily with the holes. That's it. I should draw it together nicely. Here it is. I have a nice little bead of glue that's squeezed out. Just what I wanted. Now that I have the vertical piece attached to the base, the last thing to do is to mount the clock insert. All the manufacturers pretty much the same in that they all have a gasket around the edge of the clock. If there's a little bit of room you need to make up in the diameter to get a tight fit, you can put a little bit of electrical tape around the clock and then put the gasket back on. I've seen where a manufacturer said you could use Teflon tape. It doesn't work. It's too smooth and it just slides off. So electrical tape is the better way to go. This particular clock, I really didn't need any tape at all. The gasket fit really nice. And then the last piece is just to take off the protective coating off the top of the insert. If you like this project, please take a minute to like and subscribe and hit the bell for future videos. I have links below for items I've used in this project, and we'll see you on the next one.